In Supreme Science Volume 1, we explained in depth the Latin Vulgate Bible. After that, there was a split. There were two prominent scholars at this time. One was named Eadfrith of Lindisfarne, and the other was known as the Venerable Bede. They created what became known as the Lindisfarne Gospels and the Bede Gospels. Question: can you explain more about these scholars? Answer: yes. They were both monks that were well studied and had very respected monasteries at the time. This is essential to know because the Holy Quran is also based on writings of monks. They are accredited for their work at different times. The Lindisfarne Gospels were supposedly written between the years 698 and 721 A.D. The name Lindisfarne is after a town located off the coast of Northumberland, England. Lindisfarne was also called Holy Island by some after the Gospels were written there. In around 635 A.D., the Irish missionary Aidan founded the Lindisfarne Monastery on a small outcrop of land on Lindisfarne. King Oswald of Northumbria sent Aidan from Iona to preach to and baptize the pagan Anglo-Saxons, following the conversion to Christianity of the Northumbrian monarchy in 627. By Aidan's death in 651, the Christian faith was becoming well established in the area. Eardrith's writings became synonymous with the Book of Matthew, in which Matthew 9:9 proves that it wasn't written by a man named Matthew. Matthew 9:9. And as Jesus passed forth from thence, he saw a man named Matthew sitting at the receipt of custom, and he saith unto him, Follow me. And he arose and followed him. This verse proves that the author of it wasn't Matthew, but was written in the third person. You also see the number 9 again, as previously stated, is the number of consciousness. The verse is 9:9, which 9 plus 9 equal 18, and 1 plus 8 equal 9. 9 times 9 equal 81, and 8 plus 1 is 9. This also coincides with the 99 attributes of Allah, the 99 deities in ancient Tamaray, as well as the 99 natural elements in nature. The Lindisfarne Gospels were also written in Latin, just as the previous Latin Vulgate. The Gospels are richly illustrated in the insular style, insolar, and were originally encased in a fine leather treasure binding covered with jewels and metals made by Bilfrith the Anchorite in the 8th century. During the Viking raids on Lindisfarne, this jeweled cover was lost, and a replacement was made in 1852. The text is written in insular script and is the best documented and most complete insular manuscript of the period. There is very little information published about the Lindisfarne Gospels. However, an author named Janet Backhouse has many writings based on the medieval, which really means in the middle of evil, period. Here also is a brief article about Eadfrith, written by Reverend Kate Tristram and published on, and it quotes Eadfrith is of special importance to us here, as he was the artist and calligrapher of the Lindisfarne Gospels. We know nothing about his place of birth or his family, or where he got his early training as a scribe. Nor do we know of any other work or writing from his pen. But is that surprising? We admire the art of this period, but what has survived is only a tiny fraction of all that was made. Perhaps Eadfrith wrote other texts equally beautifully, but an immense amount has perished, and we shall never know. The Lindisfarne Gospels were written during the years between 687, when St. Cuthbert died, and 721, when Eadfrith died. They were made in honor of St. Cuthbert. Perhaps they were used for the first time at the ceremony of elevation when his body was found to be undecayed, or else during the following years when his cult was growing. Modern scholars have worked out that the whole book was the work of one man, and that it might have taken him as much as 10 years to produce it. It was in many ways an adventurous piece of work. Eadfrith introduced features, such as the human portraits of the evangelists, which had not previously been in the artistic tradition of these islands, but Eadfrith himself probably did not think his artistic work was the most important thing he did. For his last 23 years, he was Bishop of Lindisfarne and actively promoted the cult of St. Cuthbert. At this time, the monastery here was very friendly with the monastery of Wearmouth Jarrow, where Bede was just making his reputation as a great scholar. A life of Cuthbert had already been written here on the island by an anonymous monk, but Eadfrith asked Bede to write the official life of Cuthbert, and it is through Bede's writings that we know most about him. Eadfrith also restored the hermitage on the Inner Farn, which had been Cuthbert's, so that another hermit, Felgild, could take up residence there. When Eadfrith died, his body was buried near St. Cuthbert's tomb, and when the monks of Lindisfarne finally left the island in 875, his relics traveled with those of others in St. Cuthbert's coffin to find a permanent home in Durham.